their attendance is way up. Attendance had been sagging for quite a while. They expanded that stadium about a decade ago, and they never did fill it up. And then Butch Davis got him in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I think they cut back the attendance a little bit, not so much by closing off a section, but putting in seats, replacing bleachers with seats. And so the stadium's a little bit smaller, plus they're selling a lot more tickets.
Well, Mac Brown credibility, I'm sure that the excitement level had to be awfully high when they brought Mac Brown back to North Carolina, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big surprise. And then when at the ACC Media Days kickoff, he made sure he wore his national championship ring from Texas. So he's been big on hitting the state hard for recruiting and trying to make North Carolina back basically to what it was when he left for Texas. He had so much success that he left that Texas lured him away.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, too. I mean, you take that championship ring and flash it in front of recruits' eyes, and all of a sudden you pay attention to it, don't you?
Yeah. When you always hear about how big and gaudy they are, but when you see them, you still can't believe it.
Okay, well, we got about 3 minutes left to go in the segment, so why don't you give everybody a preview about what you're going to talk about. We rotate you back and forth from college football on Tuesday, and then you get to talk about college basketball on Thursday. Some things in mind that you want to talk about on Thursday.
Thursday, I'm going to go to Duke's exhibition game. They won their first exhibition game on Saturday. Coach K worked a lot on player rotation, and because they're not going to be just a 2 or 3 man team like they were last year.
Right.
And he expressed he was happy with the way Tyus Jones, that's his brother, Trey Jones,
right,
was able to spread the ball around in a more balanced offense. And so Wednesday night they have their second exhibition game, and I'm planning to go to that. I can give you even more better report then.
That's fine. I mean, obviously, it's neat that you live in a part of the country. I mean, I've always thought ACC was more basketball, but all of a sudden now with a lot of these teams starting to play much better in football, the fact that you added Miami to the ACC, although they haven't been relevant for a long time, and Florida State, at least to add 2 big schools to what was already a good conference. I'm still waiting to see when the time that Florida State and Miami will dominate because they did many years before they got the conference affiliations. So.
Yeah, and those first basketball season openers are only 1 week away. 1 week from tonight, teams start opening up, and that includes the Champions Classic with Duke is number 4 playing number 3 Kansas, and Michigan State number 1 playing number 2 Kentucky. And those games are at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Why?
Michigan State had its lone exhibition game. I'm not sure why. They're only playing 1, but they played it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, are you trying to tell me that the year is going by fast?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They keep stretching it on both ends. Earlier starts, longer championships.
All right, well, just so you know, why don't you tell everybody where they can read your stuff while I give you a minute to promote your website, Tommy. Go ahead.
Yeah, just Shanahan Report. Shanahan, just like Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers coach, ShanahanReport.com, and then my Twitter is Shanny4055.
And go ahead and tell them what book they can get, Tom. I'm giving you another. I get with all the times that you're kind enough to talk about it. Go ahead.
Christmas isn't that far off. Some Michigan State fans. Actually, college football fans in general. My book, Ray of Light, and that's R-A-Y-E, just for Jimmy Ray, the South's first black quarterback to win a national title. And it's on how Michigan State's coach Duffy Doherty and his Underground Railroad team changed the integration of college football.
Okay. So, obviously, Ray of Light, written by Tom Shanahan. Go to ShanahanReport.com. You can see a lot of Tom's material. It's really good stuff, and we appreciate you coming on the program twice a week, and we look forward to some hardcore conversation on Thursday night. Okay, Tom? Might be a little bit late because we're going to be baseball heavy that night, so you'll have plenty of time to have dinner, but wait for your cocktail after you're done giving our listeners a report. Okay, buddy?
Sounds good.
Hey, Tom, thanks you for being back on the program, and You and I will talk soon, and looking forward to your ACC report on Thursday night here on the South Florida Tribune Network, the Sports Exchange. Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, good night. So next up on will be Damon Knight, one of your contemporaries. And obviously he always does what we preach around here. What is that?
Versatility and, kind of just consistency, staying loyal to the brand of the Tribune.
Right. And what does that mean?
And that means, writing constantly, being in contact with you, with everyone essentially that's here. We have to keep a relationship working and kind of going.
If you're right, you get airtime, and obviously that seems to be the one thing that's important. You've obviously figured that out. I'm really pleased with your development. Certainly know that you're going to.
Yeah, it's not a difficult formula. Just do what you have to do, and you'll be rewarded for it. And so far, I have been rewarded for it. And hopefully get to be rewarded more as we move on, and I continue to contribute to the Tribune.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what it's all about. I mean, how can anybody get a grasp of what they're going to talk about unless you know it's all preparation, right?
Absolutely. You can't come into something unprepared. It's whether you're playing a game or you're taking a test, and those games are tests. You just got to pass them.
Right. Exactly.
My schoolwork is writing 2-3 times a week, and then my test is on the air when I have to try to convey everything that I know and put together for everyone to hear when we do our shows twice a week.
Right. And obviously, I have other ideas for you to expand the brand as we continue to perfect what we do here.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask Tom, but I never got a chance to. You guys had such a good conversation. Okay. I was curious, you guys talked about that LSU game. If there's any possible draft prospects coming out of LSU that maybe you'd be able to tell me about, in advance of the NFL draft next year.
Yeah, it's still premature right now. I mean, you still have, and the reason why it's premature is everybody talks about the award winners, but where your draft prospects come, Lewis, is during these all-star games and then the combine. Everybody knows what the big names are, but how many times have you seen a big name amount to nothing?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Got Trent Richardson, Ryan Leaf. We can go all day, right?
Well, there you go. Exactly. So, I mean, what's your definition of a prospect?
I mean, just, maybe guys that Mel Kiper's keeping caps on and, got a book written on him already, and he's trying to prepare for who's going to be there next year.
Yeah, I mean that's a good. And Tom McShay's big in that area. There's a million college experts that have an idea what a prospect is, but where you really find your hidden gems is at the pro days. Think about what I'm telling you. You have the pro days, you have the combine, and these college all-star games. And as much as a lot of people like to go ahead and criticize how many bowl games there are, the only thing I like about the bowl games, it's an opportunity for these guys to go ahead and get more film on tape. Is really all it amounts to, and that's it. Nothing more than that. Because how many bowl games you got? 40, and you're rewarding 80 to 90 teams to reward mediocrity.
Yeah.
And how many of those stadiums are half empty, anyways?
Absolutely. I mean, our bowl game isn't necessarily a bowl game in the sense of the word, but it's a rivalry game, and it's an important Conference USA game that we got next week. If those of you don't know, me and Scott are doing FAU versus FIU.
Right.
FIU historically, in I believe 19 meetings, is 15-4 in the meetings against each other. So I'm a Florida Atlantic University alumni.
Right.
So let's go for that win on next November 9th, next Saturday, 3:30. Hope you guys are tuned in on Fox Sports for that game.
Well, that's like you said. Well, that's not a sanctioned bowl game, but they call it the Shula Bowl because obviously
of the history involved there.
Right, yeah. but well, I'm talking about sanctioned, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than the Paul Bunyan Trophy and all the different games. With that said, though, we'll be bringing on Damon McKnight, and Damon, welcome to the Sports Exchange. Good evening, buddy. How you doing?
Thank you, Scoop. I appreciate it. Doing good.
Good. All right, well, I'll tell you what. You get to talk about the Oakland Raiders and the Houston Tejans, or I'm just kidding, you Texans.
Yeah,
I like to mess around with those names, see if I can add a unique Mexican to it. So go ahead. Go for it.
I just wanted to talk about J.J. Watt. He had a shoulder injury. He made a routine tackle on Joshua Jacobs, that's Oakland's running back, for a 6-yard loss. He came up rotating his arm in pain, and it turned out to be a torn pectoral muscle, and unfortunately he's out for the season. So he's missed about 20 some odd games because of injuries. He's had 3 season-ending surgeries. One was to his back, A couple of them were to his back, and then one to his plateau fracture, which is in your knee. And so it's been a rough past couple of years for J.J. Watt.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, here's a guy that's had, 3 season enders? Yes. I mean, that's unreal.
Yeah, total beast mode, man. Just the guy that just knows how to play football, and it's unfortunate. He's a rare talent. You know, he recorded 3 tackles in that game, but that's a huge loss for Houston, especially for the fan base. They praise and love him like he's God, and so for him to go down, it's not good for the NFL or for Houston. So they already lost Jadeveon Clowney to trade to Seattle, so that's just downgrades their defense even more.
Well, I mean, you talk about what they mean to the city of Houston. You want to talk about the ultimate role model that belongs.
Yes.
There's a statue someplace for what he's done community service-wise, guys.
He's one of the best humanitarians that we've seen in pro sports.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he has a commercial where he was like, how would you like to meet me and, get a free truck and you don't have to worry about anything, and I've teamed up with so-and-so to raise money for this foundation. Yeah, he's a great human being. I can tell. I don't know him personally, but just from the overall perspective that I get from interviews and such and he's such a great dude. So for him to go down, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, you hate to see it for somebody who's so respected and just carries himself the way the former Wisconsin Badger does. But I mean, if anybody else, we'd be upset for different reasons. But this is bigger than football, I think.
Oh yeah. You don't want to see anybody go down, regardless of what kind of human being they are off the field. It's not something that anybody wishes somebody on a player. So it happens. It's football. That's the name of the game. And so unfortunately, it happened to him. So hopefully, it makes a speedy recovery and has a full season next year.
Yeah, I mean, not only that. All right, let's talk a little bit about Houston against Jacksonville and London. Well, obviously, it's a game.
That's where they play next. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's in London. It's a divisional game, but it should be a pretty interesting game. What's your early take on that game?
It's going to be tough, especially with that loss of J.J. Watt. But I think they can do it. Houston, they're not only good on defense, they're also good in the offensive side of the ball, too, as well. Deshaun Watson, he's a really good player. I think Chicago should have drafted him instead of Trubinsky, but they didn't. And, he's with Houston, and the guy's proven himself, and then you got DeAndre Hopkins. That guy's one of the best top 2 receivers in the league, if not the best. I'm going to go on a limb and say that. And so I think they stand a good chance, and Gardner Minshew is going to give them a good fight, and we'll see.
All right, so with the loss of J.J. Watt, do you see Leonard Fournette having a big game against the Texans out in London?
Yes. I think they'll try to exploit the right side of their defense, on that. Well, if they're facing the defense, which is going to be on the right, J.J. Watt plays to the left, which is the right if you're an offensive player. And I think they'll try to exploit that. And so we'll see. They're going to have to step up big time, and, I hope Houston prevails, they're a great team, and I'm sure they'll do a good job.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Obviously, Bill O'Brien did not need this, but Jadeveon Clowney worked his way and wanted to be out of there in the worst way, but I don't know how much of an impact he would have made anyways, knowing full well that they got the best value that they could for him. It would have been a walk year for the guy anyhow.
Yeah. And so it's going to take more than one guy. As good as J.J. Watt is, he's going to need help. And so that's for any player. You could say it for Joey Bosa. You could say it for Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, those type of players. They need help. They can't just do it by themselves. So they're going to double team you every time. And speaking of Watts, T.J. Watt had 3 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles last night against Miami. He's an absolute beast. I wonder where he gets that insight from. And so, it's just a crazy league with crazy talent.
So any other observations, or am I going to give you an opportunity to talk about the Lions really quickly, their win against the Giants? How about that?
Yeah, we'll just go straight to that. I'm really excited. That was an awesome win, finally. It's not a loss, it's a win. It's a granted, it's against a bad team, but I'll take it, and who knows, maybe down the line that's a huge win. And we play the Chicago Bears next, who got beat by the Chargers. And so we got to take advantage